Something extraordinary is about to unfold in Israel. October 1st looms, a date marked in scripture with awe and trembling. It is Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement. On this day, heaven's books are sealed. For 10 days they have remained open, the book of life, the book of death, and the record of every deed. But now the decision is finalized. Each year this moment returns, but never with the weight it carries now. For this time, the heavens themselves have testified with signs of prophecy, 3 powerful messages written in the skies, aligning perfectly with the ancient warnings of the end. The first sign appeared on September 7th. All across the earth, eyes turned heavenward as the moon grew dark, then burned crimson as though dipped in blood. It was no ordinary eclipse. The Bible calls it a blood moon, a divine alarm sounding across creation. Centuries ago, the prophets declared, "The sun will turn to darkness and the moon to blood before the great and dreadful day of the Lord." That dreadful day is the day of judgment, when God calls the world to account. Israel has seen such signs before, each at turning points of destiny. In 1948, after 2,000 years of exile, the Jewish people returned to their land. A blood moon rose. In 1967, as Jerusalem was restored in the Six-Day War, again a crimson moon hung above the city. Whenever Israel reached a historic threshold, the heavens bore witness with blood-red light. The blood moon carries a double message. On one side, it speaks of judgment, conflict, devastation, wrath poured out upon rebellion. But on the other, it points to redemption, the blood of the Lamb, Jesus Christ, shed for forgiveness. Every blood moon is a warning, yet also a reminder that there is still time to turn back to God. This is not a single isolated sign. Scripture repeats it again and again. At Pentecost, Peter declared it. In Revelation, John beheld it. "I watched as the Lamb opened the 6th seal. There was a great earthquake. The sun turned black like sackcloth, and the whole moon became like blood." In that vision, the blood moon was not only a warning, it was the announcement that judgment had begun. Every blood moon is a mark upon God's calendar. The one of September 7th, 2025, was no different. It was a message carved into the night sky. But the heavens did not stop there. On September 21st, 14 days later, a second sign appeared. The sun itself was darkened. At midday, light vanished as the moon covered the sun in a total eclipse. For 6 long minutes, day turned to night. This too is written in prophecy. Jesus himself warned, the sun will be darkened and the moon will not give its light. Centuries earlier, Amos declared, "I will make the sun go down at noon and darken the earth in broad daylight." 2 witnesses, centuries apart, spoke the same truth. When the light of the sun fails, it is because God is about to act. History confirms this pattern. In 1914, just before World War I, a great eclipse crossed Europe. Darkness fell, then war engulfed nations. In 2017, the United States witnessed an eclipse spanning coast to coast. 7 years later, in 2024, another eclipse cut across in the opposite direction, forming a great X over the land. Many saw it as a warning to a nation that had turned from God. And now, in 2025, the pattern returns with precision. First the blood moon, then the darkened sun, and the very next day, yet another marker, the autumn equinox. On September 22nd, 2025, day and night stood in perfect balance. 12 hours of light, 12 hours of darkness. But the balance was fleeting. From that moment forward, night began to overtake the light. This is not coincidence. In God's calendar, the autumn equinox opens the 7th month, Tishri. It is the month of Israel's holiest feasts, the season of final harvest. And harvest in Scripture is the symbol of separation, the wheat from the weeds, the righteous from the wicked. Jesus himself used the image. At the end, the harvest comes, and what is fruitful is gathered, while what is corrupt is burned. Blood, darkness, balance, three prophetic signs leading straight into Rosh Hashanah, the Feast of Trumpets. On September 24th, 2025, the fourth sign came. Israel entered the new year, 5786, and for the first time in history, 100 shofars sounded in unison in Jerusalem. Their blast was carried live to every corner of the earth. Rosh Hashanah is not just a celebration. It is the day the heavenly books are opened. Every soul passes before God like sheep before a shepherd. It is the beginning of the 10 days of awe, the countdown to Yom Kippur, the day when those books are sealed forever. And so the sequence was set. The blood moon, the darkened sun, the equinox, the trumpets, each a voice calling out, announcing what is near. Then comes October 1st, 2025, Yom Kippur, the holiest day of all, the day of decision, the day of judgment. On this day in ancient Israel, the high priest entered the Holy of Holies. 2 goats stood before him, one for sacrifice, the other as the scapegoat, bearing the sins of the people into the wilderness. The nation stood in silence, knowing their fate was being written. But the prophets revealed it was more than ritual. It was a shadow of a greater reality. Daniel saw the heavenly court seated, the books opened. John saw the same in Revelation. Yom Kippur is a rehearsal for the final judgment, when God himself sits as judge over all creation. Even now, Israel honors the day with sacred awe. Highways empty, businesses close, phones go silent. For 25 hours, the nation fasts and prays, and as the day ends, one last shofar blast pierces the silence, declaring judgment complete. But history shows Yom Kippur is not always silent. In 1973, on that very day, war erupted as Israel was attacked. Against all odds, the nation survived. It was proof that even on the holiest day, world-shaking events unfold. And so, October 1st, 2025 is no ordinary date. It is the culmination of the signs, the sealing of the books, the verdict of heaven, judgment written. Yet this is not the end. Beyond Yom Kippur lies Sukkot, the Feast of Tabernacles, a week of joy, celebrating the God who dwells with his people. Families build fragile shelters, open to the sky, remembering that safety has never been in walls, but in the presence of God. And in Revelation, the final promise is revealed. Behold, the tabernacle of God is with men, and he will dwell with them. From the blood moon to the Feast of Tabernacles, the message is clear. The signs are converging. The prophetic clocks are striking together. The world is entering a season like no other. Judgment is coming. Redemption is near. And the voice of heaven still calls, be ready.